Israel's move to recognize Somaliland has sparked strong international reactions and heightened tensions in the region. Somaliland, which is a self-declared region that broke away from Somalia in 1991 and has never been recognized by the international community, it possesses its own government, army, passport, currency, but remains officially part of Somalia. Israel's decision to recognize Somaliland comes amid rising regional tensions in Yemen, where the Houthi rebels have targeted international shipping lanes in the Gulf of Aden over the past 2 years. The Houthi movement has issued a warning that any Israeli presence in Somaliland will be considered a military target. The rebels stated that such presence constitutes aggression against Somalia and Yemen. It also poses a threat to regional security. Somalia has condemned Israel's recognition, calling it an unlawful violation of the country's territorial integrity. The Somalian Prime Minister's office stressed that Somaliland remains an integral part of Somalia and reaffirmed that it will not allow the establishment of foreign military bases or arrangements that could import conflicts into the region. Now, this decision has drawn widespread international criticism. Just look at that. Countries including Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Qatar, Iran, Turkey, Pakistan, Libya, Nigeria, along with international organizations, have condemned Israel's action, calling it a serious threat to international peace and security and a violation of international law. It also prompted an emergency meet in Cairo on Sunday, where the Somalian ambassador described the recognition as an act of aggression.
The Israeli occupation government's announcement of its alleged recognition of the northwestern region of Somalia, the so-called Somaliland, is an act of aggression and provocation utterly unacceptable. It constitutes a blatant and unprecedented violation of international law.
Somaliland's strategic importance cannot be understated. It sits opposite Yemen along the Gulf of Aden, stretching along hundreds of miles of coastline and providing access to the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a critical maritime choke point through which a significant portion of trade between Asia and Europe passes en route to the Suez Canal. The region also links strategically to the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean, so that's how important it is. Israeli think tanks have noted that Somaliland could serve as a logistical and strategic outpost to monitor military developments in Yemen and to support international operations against threats in the region. However, Israel has expressed its recognition as a diplomatic move, and the nature of any future presence or activities remains undeclared. On to North Korea now. Kim Jong-un has conducted another successful missile test. North Korea's state news agency has released fresh footage of the test, showing a missile blowing up a building that was targeted. Pyongyang reportedly launched 2 long-range cruise missiles to showcase its combat readiness. The country released images of truck-mounted rockets being fired from a bridge, reports saying they took off from the Sunan area near the capital, Pyongyang. The test was conducted at about 8 a.m. local time on Sunday, and after that, a missile was photographed approaching the test target, which seems to be an empty building on an island. The target was located in the Yellow Sea to the west of the Korean peninsula. The visuals released by North Korean state media showing a direct hit. The latest test comes just days after North Korea released this footage. That's Kim Jong-un with his daughter and heir apparent, reportedly, inspecting a massive submarine. Pyongyang says it's a nuclear-powered submarine set to be capable of launching surface-to-air missiles. North Korea has indicated that it plans to arm it with nuclear weapons. And speaking of weapons, North Korea also released photos of Kim Jong-un walking through a missile factory floor. He was shown reportedly inspecting munitions, weapon components. He declared that the country will continue to develop missiles for at least the next 5 years. So that's the message. And the latest display is also coming just weeks after U.S. President Donald Trump gave South Korea approval to build its own nuclear submarines. Pyongyang calls Seoul submarine efforts an offensive act which threatens North Korea's security. North Korea also slammed the recent joint military drills by Japan, South Korea, and the United States. The air drills, remember, involved American B-52 bombers flying with the Japanese fighter jets over the Sea of Japan early this month. Pyongyang said the drills undermined regional stability. Reports saying that the latest cruise missile tests were a message directed towards all three rivals. While the North Korean state media did not mention how far the missiles flew, Arrow-type cruise missiles have a range of about 2,000 kilometers, and that means all of South Korea is within their range. And so are some American bases in Japan. Kim Jong-un said the latest missile test gave him great satisfaction, calling it a responsible exercise of the right to self-defense and war deterrence. Bangladesh's election season heating up, and at the center of the political churn is the familiar surname Rahman. After Tariq Rahman made a comeback after 17 years in exile and will be contesting from the Dhaka 17 constituency, his return is not just a personal homecoming, but a watershed political moment in a country still recovering after the dramatic ouster of Sheikh Hasina. And as thousands took to the streets of Dhaka to welcome Tariq Rahman, the spotlight also shifted to the residents at 196 Avenue, the political address synonymous with the Zia Rahman legacy. But amid the celebrations, one figure quietly began drawing national attention: Zaima Rahman, the daughter of the BNP chief Tariq Rahman, granddaughter of two towering figures of Bangladeshi politics, former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia and former President. In fact, she is a barrister trained in London, built a professional identity far from Dhaka's politics, has never held a formal party position or contested an election. Today, but she is firmly in the political spotlight. She first entered the national conversation in 2021 after the derogatory remarks made against her by the then Awami League minister, Murad Hassan. The controversy spiraled, forcing Hassan's resignation and triggered legal action against him. That episode marked her unintended political debut. Her transition from being a public figure to a political player came after the student uprising in 2024. She has increasingly been seen accompanying and representing her father at key engagements. And now comes the most crucial development. Bangladesh's Election Commission has approved Zaima Rahman's inclusion in the voter list. She is registered in the Dhaka 17 constituency. Fingerprints and iris scans have been submitted. In Bangladesh, voter registration is mandatory for contesting elections, which now brings us also to the question dominating the political discourse. Will Zaima Rahman have a role in the upcoming elections? For the BNP, she represents something a rare, possible bridge between legacy and renewal, youthful, internationally educated, largely untouched by the corruption scandals that have long haunted the party in a way. She could inject fresh appeal into the organization. At the same time, her rise revives an old debate. Is this renewal or is this dynastic politics all over again? The Zia Rahman family has defined Bangladesh's opposition politics for decades. Tariq Rahman himself remains a deeply polarizing figure associated with allegations of corruption, abuse of power, terror links during the BNP Jamaat coalition years. If Zaima steps into the electoral arena, she will inherit not just the political legacy, but also its baggage. Now, for now, the BNP is silent on her electoral ambitions, but the signs are unmistakable. The timing and appearances, the voter registration, all pointing to careful political positioning of the Zia Rahman family. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.